Good morning, everyone. My name is André Correia from SECIL Tech. I would like to welcome you to this webinar focused on the MICROART system, decorative microcement applications, colors, textures, and we'll be showing also some references. But mainly this webinar will be focused on the application, the different product application, the different finishes, and above all the main concerns in order to prevent pathologies and problems during application and in the performance of the system. I would ask you to give us some feedback through the messaging system of the webinar in order for us to have some feedback regarding video and audio output. Okay, so if you can just give us a thumbs up in case all is well, it will be good also. So I hope you will enjoy this webinar. It will take roughly 30-35 minutes, and we will have 10 minutes in the end for questions and answers that will hopefully arise during this presentation. So if you want, you can put your questions during my presentation whenever you want, and in the end, I will try to address them as much as possible, the totality of the questions. So without further delay, I think we are fulfilling the times we were scheduling. So I will start the presentation, and let me share with you. Okay, so hopefully everyone is watching the slide from the SECIL Academy. I don't know if we have any feedback, but I believe so. Okay, very well. So proceeding, just a quick introduction in terms of the SECIL Group, which is the group where SECIL Tech belongs. SECIL Group is a leading group in Portugal for cement production that was founded in 1930. The group also integrates around 40 companies which operate in different complementary areas, such as the concrete precast blocks production, the natural hydraulic lime, the mortars, coatings, all sorts of mortars, and of course also the exploration of quarries, so the quarrying. Internationally, the SECIL Group is present in several countries with production of cement, mainly Tunisia, Lebanon, Brazil, and Angola. And as I told you, one of the companies within the group is SECIL Tech. SECIL Tech is a company that will achieve 130 years next year. So it was founded in 1891, mainly with the production of lime and now natural hydraulic lime, but also due to the investigation and development and the investment along the years, we have introduced a full range of products that go from tile adhesives to waterproofing to renders to concrete, premixed concrete, to micro cement, to screeds, rehabilitation mortars, etc. So it's a wide, complete range that can be consulted through our website, seciltech.com. As I told you, we are one of the oldest and the few companies worldwide still to produce natural hydraulic lime, which is a premium binder for rehabilitation mortars and also for new sustainable construction, together with some of our systems based on thermal insulation. Okay, so to start on the MICROART subject. MICROART, it's a decorative microcement coating. It looks a little bit like what's called le béton ciré, or pretty close to what it's very traditional in terms of Venetian stucco or tadalact. But in terms of application, in terms of performance and durability and resistance, it's quite different because we can use it also in floors, not only in walls. I will focus my presentation on the main characteristics of the system. So what it is, what type of substrates, what are the products involved in this system, the field of application, the application method, which is very important and the focus of this presentation, some references, which is important. And in the end, I believe that in order to consolidate all the knowledge, we will have a step-by-step application video that we will try to make available also in the end of this presentation. I think it will work very well in terms of consolidating all the knowledge that I will try to transmit today. So in terms of the general characteristics, what is the MICROART system? What is the microcement? So it's mainly defined by a thin layer. It's a decorative coating based on a thin layer that can be applied in walls and floors for pedestrian traffic, okay? We are talking always about areas where we will have only pedestrian traffic. Usually the total thickness of application, it's between 3 to 5 millimeters, which makes this system a very good system for renovation and for rehabilitation purposes. So we're not increasing a lot of thickness in the walls or in the floors when you want to renovate an old coating. It's a continuous coating, so without any joints, which is also in terms of aesthetic very, very well seen. So as I told you, ideal for renovation due to the low thickness and ease of application in a wide type of substrates. I would say that due to the characteristics of the Microcimento or MICROART mortars, we can apply it almost all over all sorts of types of substrates, even substrates without any absorption, without any porosity, which is very, very interesting. It's also available in different colors, several colors, and also some different finishes, which I will show you later. Applied by specialized teams. As I would like to say, a good solution, a good system is only a good solution or a good system if it's well applied. So immediately it can turn into a bad or low performance system if it's not applied according to rules or by certified or specialized teams. That's why we are here, in order to share our knowledge and also to try to give some useful information to companies or people that will install this system. And it's a system composed of several products with high profitability and durability. So here, several products, it's important to know them all, how to apply them, and also if everything is well done, we are looking at a very durable solution and with an interesting profitability for the people who apply it also. So starting from the beginning, we have the MICROART AD21, which is a product suitable for the substrate preparation. So as I told you earlier, MICROART mortars, they are characterized by high adhesion. So usually you don't need a primer to promote a good adhesion. You usually need a primer to protect the substrate. Usually substrates that are high porosity substrates or substrates that are heterogeneous, where you have bits and pieces of paint, residual paint, or different types of substrate in connection. So ideally you would need to regulate the absorption of the substrate in order to promote an even drying process for the MICROART mortars. So this is the AD21. So the second stage would be the mortars themselves. So we have two finishing possibilities, even though I have to tell you that we mainly sell the smooth system, but there are certain projects where they demand a more rustic finish, more coarse finish, and it creates a little bit more friction. So usually in areas where you want some friction in terms of not so smooth, the rustic finish would be ideal. So for the rustic finish, what we have is the leveling layer, which is the MICROART MC base. The MICROART MC base, it's not different from the MICROART MC01 in white. So we are calling it base because when you are applying either the rustic or the smooth finish for leveling, and in order to prevent having a lot of colors in stock, you can use the MicroArt MC base, which is the leveling product for either of these solutions. So I would say that the first layer would be the MicroArt MC base, together with a fiberglass mesh if you are doing floor, or if you are doing the application on over tiles to renovate tiles. So this is a fiberglass mesh anti-alkali with alkali treatment fiberglass mesh with 86 grams per square meter. So we call it MicroArt Mesh 90. That is included on top of this first layer. And then you apply a next layer with MicroArt MC01 on the chosen color, and then a second layer of MicroArt MC01. We will further on see the number of layers necessary for each type of application. This is very important, and how to proceed between each layer. But here you can see a scheme, more or less, of the type of application in terms of layers. If you're going for a fine or smooth finish, then you would have to do 2 layers of MicroArt MC base with the mesh between these 2 layers, and then 2 layers of MicroArt MC02. The MicroArt MC02 will be the finishing layer for the smooth system. This is a very, very fine mortar that will give you that very smooth, perfect look of the béton ciré. After the application of the MC02, if by any chance you're going for a metallic look, we have now a patine finish, which can simulate gold, silver, or bronze, which is called the MicroArt MC Patine, okay? We will have a video in the end showing the application of this new finish that we have now available. Okay, in terms of the stage 3, which is the surface protection. The surface protection will be the product or the system that will influentiate in the durability of the system and the performance of the system. For example, when we're thinking about kitchens, when we're thinking about wet areas like toilets, bathrooms. So this is very important to focus also. So we have several types of surface protection. We have acrylic varnishes, which are composed by an acrylic sealant, and then the possibility of going for a satin or a glossy look, which is the AD45 or AD46, or for more demanding areas, for example, like kitchens, like bathrooms, we have a polyurethane varnish. This will be a varnish that will seal completely the surface and will promote some increased resistance to water absorption. So here we also need a polyurethane sealant, like a primer, and then MicroArt AD50, which is a 2-component polyurethane varnish. In terms of maintenance, we have an acrylic wax. This wax is a traditional wax that you would use for a traditional floor, for wood floor, or for a ceramic floor, traditional floor, that can be used to maintain the MicroArt system, okay? We will show it how to apply, but it's very easy to apply. It's like a maintenance procedure that you usually do when using the acrylic varnishes, okay? So regarding the field of application, as I told you before, we can apply MicroArt system on walls or floors, and the types of substrate are very important to identify. So we can have cement-based substrates like renders, concretes, screeds. If this is a new substrate, usually you would use the AD21 to regulate the absorption of these more porous substrates. Existing tiles, we would apply MicroArt directly. Shower bases, bathtubs, when it's new, for example, on the shower bases, you should consider the waterproofing. We will talk about that later. The bathtubs, you imagine bathtubs or sinks, which are ceramic, no absorption. MicroArt could be applied on top of these materials without any problems. Water resistance MDF, gypsum boards with the regulator AD21, the primer. Wood, when we say wood, we mainly focus on furniture. This should not be applied on wooden parquet, okay? Anything that has movement that is more or less like flexible, we wouldn't recommend it in terms of application. And of course, natural stone if it's necessary. We do not recommend the use of the MicroArt system on swimming pools, water tanks, or even parquet floors, as I told you. Of course, there are some people that would like to have like a micro cement swimming pool. We would say, okay, it's usually at the responsibility of the person. When we say we don't recommend, because our concerns are the durability of the system. In constant contact with water, there could be some issues in terms of performance of the system itself. So we don't really recommend it. In terms of the necessary equipment, for the MicroArt system, it's important to have the right equipment. Equipment in order to promote good application between layers, but also to prevent pathologies in the future, like protection equipment for foot, to walk on top of the MicroArt system, equipment to clean and vacuum between layers, and also, of course, all the tools necessary to protect and promote a good application. For example, the trowels, the electric mixers, iron sandpapers, we will talk about the grain size, vacuum cleaners, the paint rolls, which are usually short-haired paint rolls, gloves and dust mask for your protection as application procedures, and also the uniforms and clean shoes like slippers and the tapes for protecting the windows, connection with windows and plastic sheets. In terms of the general conditions of the substrate, so we are talking about substrates that should be dry, cohesive, they should be clean, so without any dust that could influentiate the conditions of adhesion. So ideally you should vacuum and clean very well with a damp cloth and then let it dry. The substrates also should be leveled, okay? So MicroArt by definition is a very thin layer system. So if the substrate is not level, you will either consume a lot of mortar or you will notice those unevenness on the substrate. So as I told you, the MicroArt thickness is between 3 to 5 millimeters. So ideally, not ideally, it's important, there shouldn't be any rising damp issues. So if it's a floor, if it's a ground floor, you should implement solutions and systems that will prevent rising damp from getting trapped between the MicroArt and the varnish or the polyurethane varnish that you are going to apply. So ideally treat it, let the floor dry completely, promote the drying process with mechanical equipment, for example, and then only after that, when you have just a residual moisture content, you should apply the MicroArt system, okay? In terms of shower bases, by definition, MicroArt is not a waterproofing layer. It's a system that has a good resistance to water absorption, but in terms of shower bases, you should promote a correct waterproofing. For that, you can check our HydroStop range for the cement-based mortars for wet areas and shower bases. In terms of new construction, we recommend substrates that have a good resistance, resistance to pull or adhesion between 1.5 megapascal. And in case of floors, we recommend the Plan Force, which is a high-strength screed, or in walls, the use of a high-strength render, ideally Redur Max, okay? Redur Max Force, sorry. In terms of renovation, if by any chance we're looking at wooden floors, parquets, they must be removed. Also, cracked surfaces or non-adhesion particles, they must be repaired, either with high-strength render, or in case of floors, with a high-strength screed. You should remove existing paints or varnishes. If by any chance the existing paint is very well in connection, the adhesion is very, very good and it's difficult to remove, okay, this could be a good substrate for the application. But ideally, any paint that is in terms of the adhesion, it's not very good, you should remove it. In these cases, because we are talking about heterogeneous substrates, you should apply always the MICROART AD21 primer and regulator, okay? In terms of the MICROART AD21 application, so this is just an adhesion promoter for cement-based substrates and wood or substrates with residues of old coatings, as I told you before, so heterogeneous substrates, okay, and substrates that have high porosity. So in terms of those types of substrates, AD21 is recommended for application. In terms of the application itself, we will see in the end the video that will clarify all the steps, but I give you here a preview of the products in terms of the mortars application. So we have, as I told you, MC base, which works as a base leveling product for all sorts of finishes. And if you're going for a rustic finish, then MC01, which is also leveling mortar and finishing mortar for the rustic finish, or you go for MC02, which is the fine two-component mortar for the smooth finish. The MICROART Mesh 90, always use it when you're applying the system on floors or over tiles. Another thing I would like to focus, because this information at this point, probably it's a lot of information, but because it's present in our brochure, you can definitely study it after, but I would focus definitely on the smooth or fine finishing. And I would like just to make focus out the difference between the coats that you have to apply in walls, which is usually one coat of MC01 or MC base, and then two coats of MC02. This will give you a thickness of around 3 mil. But if you're working on top of ceramic coats, ceramic or tiles, or even in floors, you have 2 coats of MC base, and then 2 more coats of MC02. This will give you the thickness, total thickness around 5 mil. Just wanted to focus on these different thicknesses, so you can check what needs to be done in one case and the other. In terms of the mortar preparation, we will also check it on the video, but it's the mortars, the MC base 01 and 02 are 2 components. So component A, it's a powder, which is white, and then the liquid is the colorant that will give you the color in the end. So you just need to mix very well the component B, the liquid, before joining it with component A, and then mixing it both with an electric mixer, more or less around 2 minutes until you obtain an homogeneous paste. We should apply always this system in fine layers, ideally the 01 or base below 2 millimeter thickness, and then the MC02, because it's a finer product, below 0.5 millimeter. In floors or over tiles, we always need the mesh and 2 layers of MC01 or MC base. We should work every layer as it were the last. This is very important to obtain a perfect system. So you should work every layer as the layer would be the last. So what does this mean? This means that you have to sand between layers and then vacuum and clean very well before you apply the second layer. And then the waiting period, which is around 3 hours between layers in terms of application. After sanding, as I told you, clean the surface very well, ideally vacuum it and then wipe it. And also very important, it's the pot life of the product. So the pot life at 30 grades centigrade, it's around 3 hours. And the drying period between layers, as I told you, it's 3 hours, more or less. And also the theoretical consumption is here, but you can also check it on our brochure. In terms of the finishing layer, the MC02, the fine one, either we are talking about floors or walls, we recommend the application of at least 2 layers. And also these layers must be applied fresh in fresh. Why? Because this is a very thin layer, we don't have many concerns in terms of the drying process. So the drying process happens very fast. So these are very thin layers, so you can apply fresh on fresh, these 2 layers. It's very important, and here we talked about the protection equipment. So in order to prevent stains, usually these stains can happen during application due to sweat stains, for example, or water drops. So it's very important to be careful in terms of the procedure. So sand it, clean it very well, and vacuum between layers. And in terms of the surface protectors, as I showed before, we have 2 types. A polyurethane-based protection, which is for more demanding situations, more resistance to abrasion, more resistance to water absorption, and then you have the acrylic protection, which can give you a glossy or satin finish. And then for maintenance, the wax, which is a traditional wax. So in terms of the polyurethane varnish, in terms of the protection, we will also see it in the video, but it's a 2-component polyurethane varnish. You just mix it, component A with component B. It gives you a satin look. It's not a glossy finish. I think it's mostly preferred by everyone, the satin look. It's a high strength, water resistant and chemical resistant varnish. It has an excellent resistance in terms of yellowing. We are talking about yellowing because we have windows, we have all sorts of natural light coming in our house, and it's important to have a product that will not turn yellow in contact with UV lighting. In terms of the preparation, it's mixing it during 3 minutes, component A with component B. I don't know if you are hearing me. Yes, okay. We just had a small issue without the audio output, but now we are back. Sorry for this. So continuing, as I told you, the application of the AD50 is always with a short hair roll in 2 or 3 coats ideally, and the application should be overlapped. So if you do it in order to prevent having spots where you have not passed and you missed. So the pot life of this product is very important also. Usually 20 minutes around 30 degrees centigrade and 40 minutes around 10 degrees centigrade. So you can see how much this influentiates the pot life of these products, the temperature. Okay, this is also important when applying the system, the complete system. We will focus on that also. The drying period between coats is around 8 to 12 hours. MICROART AD45, the satin finish, or MICROART AD46, the glossy finish, they have an excellent resistance without yellowing also. They give you the traditional looks of a varnish, and they always need the application of the MICROART AD91, which is the sealant before, it's an acrylic sealant before the application of the varnish itself. So this sealant is used for filling the pores and used to promote the adhesion, increasing the varnish durability and surface coverage. So here, apply it also with a short hair roll and sandpaper and clean it after the product dries. The duration of the drying process is roughly 3 hours, and then you apply the coats of the acrylic varnish. So in terms of the application of the acrylic varnishes, so after the sealant dries, we mix the product, which is one component, and then we apply it in at least 2 coats with a short-haired roll. So also here, overlap application, and the drying period between coats is around 3 hours also. MICROART AD47, so as I told you, it's the traditional wax finish. It has a matte look, and it's used as a protector for maintenance. So in terms of the applications, very simple, just mixing it, applying it with a cloth, like you see it in the picture, in at least 2 coats. This is depends on the use of the floor. So if it's a high traffic floor, so ideally you should do this maintenance application more often. If it's not, if it's like an area where you don't have much foot traffic, so the maintenance would be much more spaced in time, of course. Okay, the time between coats is around 12 hours. So the best way to check if your floor needs some maintenance in terms of the varnish application would be like in the picture. So if you drop some drops of water, if you have some droplets of water on the floor, on the 2 pictures above, you see that there is no absorption. You see the droplets just standing there, but in the ones in below, you see that the floor is starting to absorb the water. This means that maybe you should think about renewing the application of the maintenance wax. Also here, we have a description of the different types of products, the type of application, their consumption, and the packaging. All this information for the complete products for the system are available on our brochure, the MICROART brochure that you can consult anytime. And it will give you also a step-by-step application and all those things that I am focusing here. In terms of color range, we have 15 colors available. So here are the main colors that we supply. They go from the whites to a very wide range of grays, and then some specific colors like the brown, the yellow, the more orange or ochre. So it really depends on what you're looking at in terms of floors or walls. And of course, we have a new type of finish, which is the patine, which we'll show also in the video, that together with certain colors can give you the gold, silver, or bronze look. I think this is also a trend now and very interesting to use. In terms of the recommendations, because as I told in the beginning, the performance and the good behavior of this system depends on following certain rules. So the first and one of the most important is looking at the temperature of the air and substrate temperature. So you shouldn't apply this system if these temperatures are below 10 degrees or above 30 degrees. So this is very important. And also the relative air humidity of the air shouldn't be below 70%, okay? So if this happens, you will have problems with the drying process of the material. So if by any chance you are applying during these types of conditions, you should really promote with mechanical means the control of the interior temperature and substrate temperature and air humidity. If not, you should wait for better conditions. So, and also if the products are applied at low temperature and high relative air humidity, the drying times will be extended, okay? So a correction here, it's above 70%, okay? So this should be very important. So a waiting period until the application of the protectors, so at least 24 hours. So between the application of the mortars and starting the protection, like acrylic or polyurethane, you should wait at least 24 hours. Also, we have some frequent asked questions that I try to bring here in order to make it easier. So how long after the application can we walk on MICROART systems? So since the application and because this type of mortars are based on thin layers, which means a quick drying, we would say that between 3 to 4 days you can walk on it. So of course we are talking about foot traffic, like I was saying, but however, like every cement-based mortar, the complete curing or drying process occurs after 28 days. But of course, after 3 or 4 days, you can walk on it. In terms of cracks, if you have any cracks on the substrate after the application, walls and floors, could we repair it? We can, but we cannot repair it punctually. We need to repair the entire area or panel because you will notice the repairs. So ideally, you should do the entire panel on the wall or in the floor. Also, how do I make an application in substrates with the pre-existing moisture? So even though MICROART is water-resistant coating, it doesn't work as a waterproofing layer. So we need to consider that the substrate should be completely dry. We should promote the correction of rising damp, or if we have water, if we will have contact with water frequently, we should promote correct waterproofing of the area before the application of the MICROART system. What type of maintenance has to be carried out on MICROART system? So maintaining MICROART system is very important, as I told you. So it depends on the use and the frequently of use. So the system in terms of cleaning should be seen as a natural wood floor, for example. You should avoid dragging any heavy material or using some sharp objects or abrasive products in the system. We recommend only neutral pH products for cleaning this MICROART system. Okay, I will finish at least my focused presentation with some images of the different uses we can have for the MICROART system, from commercial areas, private houses, wet areas, all can be done, and with a very interesting outcome. So in terms of aesthetic look, it's very interesting to have. It's really a trend now, and we can use it almost everywhere in the interior of a house and almost over all types of substrates. We have here a small example of an area of a swimming pool, access area also. And also with this new finishing, which gives it like a metallic look that can work very, very well. So I would say that before we go for the Q&A, I would show you a video, a step-by-step application video for the MICROART system. I will be also talking a little bit between the video itself, so clarifying some aspects of the application. So the video is roughly 9 minutes, so bear with me. And then in the end, we will have some time for some questions that I believe we have been getting during my presentation. Okay, so here you can have a look to our complete range of products and the tools. So here we start with the primary and substrate absorption regulators. So as I told you, for heterogeneous or for high absorbing substrates, we recommend the application of the which is available in 1 liter and 5 liter buckets. And then after the application of the substrate regulator, we have the MICROART MC01 or the base, depending on the solution. The MICROART MC01 base and MC02 are available in 3 kilo buckets or 12 kilo buckets. And the mixing process is like you see on the movie. So you mix the liquid very well before joining it with the powder, and then you mix it with electric mixer until you obtain an homogeneous paste. Then in terms of the application, we recommend a 3 mil notch trowel for the application of the first layer with the mesh. This is very important because you control not only the thickness of application, so you're controlling how much you consume in terms of product, but you also create a good substrate for the mesh application. So, and the mesh usually doesn't need to be squeezed onto the layer. It really needs to be put just on top of the layer without doing a lot of pressure. So this is a 86 gram per square meter, 4x4 mesh for this type of applications. And then here you have a curing period of 6 hours. And then we can proceed to the second layer of MC01 or base. Okay, we are here simulating the application of a floor or a tiled area. If it was on a wall, the mesh would not be necessary, okay? But here we are demonstrating the more demanding application. So after the application of the second coat, we wait no less than 6 hours. And then after we have the starting process of the preparation of the substrate. Here we use iron sandpaper with 120 grams, and then we vacuum and clean very well before we pass on to the MC02, which is the fine finishing product. So the MC02, as I told you, available in 15 colors, 3 kilo and 12 kilo buckets, 2 components, component A and component B. So mix it very well, the liquid, before you join it with the powder, and then with the use of an electric mixer, you mix the product very well during 2-3 minute stops until you get this very homogeneous lump-free paste, okay? So this is an electric mixer you use to mix other. The speed should be regular. The speed should be possible to regulate in terms of frequency. So after the mixing of the product, you have the application of the MC02, which is using metallic trowel. I don't know if you are watching the rest of the movie or not, because from my end, the feed has paused, and I'm trying to, the feed has paused during the mixing of the MC02, and I'm trying to check. Okay, so I believe we lost some bit here, but I can tell you this was, the MC02 was applied with a metallic trowel, small one with the round edges. And then after the application and the drying, around three hours, you should vacuum and clean and then apply the second layer. Not 3 hours, sorry. The MC02, you can apply it fresh on fresh. So the drying process is quite fast. So here we are applying the second layer of the MC02 after the first was sanded and vacuumed. So as I told you, here we use a relatively small trowel with the round edges in order to facilitate the application. And here you can see the application of the second coat of MC02. So here the MC02, it's applied in different directions. This really depends on the person that is applying, because it's in this coat that you're going to give it the béton ciré, the burnt, let's call it, look. So as much passages you do, the more burned effect you create. So as it says here, this application stage is really a creative application. So it's a creative stage. You can even take little pieces of additional mortar and then apply it on top to create more shades in terms of the final look. And this really depends on the expectations of the customer, if he wants a more homogeneous look or if he wants a more heterogeneous shaded look. So as you see here, small extra portions of the mortar will give it new different effects or burned effects or shades. Okay, then we have the final layer of the MICROART fine finish. And then, as I told you, when you finish the mortars, you should have a period of at least 24 hours before moving on to the protection, surface protection products. So here you have to sand it also with an iron sandpaper and then clean it very well and wipe the dust. Depending on the type of protection that you go, either polyurethane or acrylic, you should use the sealant. So for the acrylic varnishes, we use the AD91, which is the primer for these varnishes. And the application is very easy. So it's one coat with a short roll that you could use and apply it like you see it here in the video. So it's just making sure, as you see, it's very well to notice, it's very easy to notice where you already passed this product, because you get this darker color, so it's easy to don't miss spots. So after the application of AD91, you should have a period of 3 hours in order to promote the complete drying. And then you would go for the acrylic varnish. Here we are applying the AD45, which is the satin varnish. We could go for the 46, which is the gloss. So here we see the application of the varnish, and the process is exactly the same. Here you should apply at least 2 coats of the varnish in order to get a good coverage and a good protection. But the application is the same with a short roll, but also the same for the 46 and for the polyurethane. So the polyurethane varnish would need the AD92, which is based in polyurethane also, and the application would be exactly the same. In terms of maintenance, as I told you, we will have the AD47, which is the traditional wax, which can be done with a cloth for the application. And here you go, the final look of MICROART with the acrylic varnish in terms of finish. Very quickly, I will just show you the application of the patina. If by any chance the customer would need this solution. So the patina, as I told you, it will give the MICROART system metallic look, gold, silver, or bronze. For this, and you can check the brochure, we have specific colors that you should use before applying the patina, either from the dark colors, dark gray, or from the browns, depending on the type of metallic you should use. Here, we're going to see the application of one of the patines. Very quick. The patina is not really a liquid, but is not also a mortar. So it's like in a pasty form. And it's very interesting to see the application. So here you will see an already made MICROART system before the application of any varnishes, any varnish or have any protection. So here you have the final layer of the MC02 in dark color, and then you are applying patina. the patine over this already finished system. So usually the patine is of course used in walls. Usually, not usually, it's always. So it doesn't make much sense to use it in floors, I would say, but in walls, it's very trendy and it creates a very good look. So as you see, this is in a pasty form. So you just put some part of the product in a trowel. So it's the same trowel you use to apply the two with the round border, and then you would spread the patine all over the system. So here it really depends on the application technique. So really here you create the effects you would like with the patine. So see the applicator doing it. So it's very easy, it's very smooth product to apply, and this is the look that you get, which is quite interesting, and it really looks well. So this would be the patine effect, and then you would give it or leave it like this, or give it some kind of additional protection if needed. And that's it. This was the video I wanted to show you. So, and I hope my presentation was clear. I'm terribly sorry for some issues we had with the sound, and I believe we had also some issues here with the streaming of the video due to probably some connection problems. But okay, hopefully we now have some questions. I would like to say, if by any chance we don't have time for to answer all the questions, I will make sure to answer them by email. In the end, I will place my contacts here in my email. So if by any chance I'm not able to answer all the questions, please place any questions you might have to my email that will be available in the end. So I will go to the first question. So we wonder which abrasive tools you recommend, like diamond cup wheels, diamond pads, etc. So as I presented here, so the only abrasion tools we need are sandpaper, iron sandpaper, that go from 120 to 250 grams. Okay, so I hope that was clear on my presentation. So here we have, okay, 3 questions from Mr. Ben. How do you clean the dust of the walls after sanding? I tried it and needed a vacuum cleaner, lightly moist cloth, dry cloth to remove it. Yeah, I would say that does the trick, because first I would say that you should only sand it when the layer is completely dry, because if you do it with the layer still a little bit moist, it can be an issue. But if it's completely dry, okay, you sand it, and then a good vacuum cleaner, an industrial vacuum cleaner that they mainly have on construction works, is the ideal tool. And then, of course, a damp cloth to do the rest of the step. So, what kind of sanders do you advise? Eccentric or not? Yes, you could use. So in big areas, because here we showed only hand applied, so hand tools like sandpapers, but you could definitely use an eccentric or not, and specific sandpapers for corners. So anything that will give you a more quicker way of doing the procedure without compromising the performance of the system. But I would say that the sanding of the system is definitely an area where we can use mechanical sanders like eccentric. Do you have a video about how to manipulate the patterns applied? So I mix it twice with 3 minutes pause. This moves the small lamps that might be present. So I think we showed it also in the video. So the mixing of the material, I would say 2-3 minutes with good temperature would do the trick. And
very important, mixing the liquid component before putting it together. So some more questions. I believe that those are the last ones. Do you have a video about how to manipulate? Oh, this one okay, I already answered. So how long can you store it? The AD50 cool, the AD50 cooled to 7 degrees. I would say that storing the AD50, there is no problem. You have the validity of the product, is 12 months. If it's 7 degrees, the AD50, it's two components, they are not together. So the important issue here is when you are going to apply it, you should mix it in good temperature conditions. I've showed that in the presentation. So low temperatures and very high temperatures affect the performance because they react. Okay, so this is very important to follow. In terms of preserving the products in stocking, I don't have any issues with the temperature. Temperature really is important when you're going to apply and mix both components. So finally, is this only maintenance for acrylic or also for PU varnish? The maintenance is only recommended for the acrylic. Okay, if you have the PU is long-lasting, high durability. Here, you don't need to use the traditional wax. So, do you have examples of two different colors used on top of each other? I don't know if I really understand here. So, two different colors used on top of each other. The examples we have, it's for example the MC02 in any color applied over MC base, so which is the white. So we don't have any issues there. That's why we chosen the white as the base. And also the patines are applied over colors also. So I would say that there aren't any concerns with that. So the last question, correct? Correct. Okay. Do you need a mesh on a wooden desk? Wooden desk is if we are talking about wood, like massive wood, not wood from IKEA or wood from other from other suppliers in terms of furniture. So if it's really wood, I would see any issues applying directly. Okay, use the primer because wood as is absorbed. So use the AD21 and then apply the system without the use. Okay, so once again, I thank you very much for your presence. I hope that this presentation was useful. I hope it was interesting. We will make this presentation available. Before you go, I will just share my contacts in this presentation. You can take notes of my email, and I believe I can share it here. Just very quickly. Just for you to take notes of my email in case you want to send me some other questions. So as I told you, you will receive a link for this video presentation. Okay, so you will receive a link for this video presentation and also for a questionnaire in terms of what you find and any recommendations you might have. So once again, it was a pleasure. Hope to see you soon in person also because of this situation. So wish you all a very good day, and please don't hesitate to send me emails. Thank you very much.